Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I have a really good friend, Craig Stanlin, that said you have to talk to my friend Reena Friedman Watts. And I was like, all right, cool, I guess. But then I got her accolades, and I'm like, holy shit, this woman is on fire. You know, she's done so much in her personal life. So it's more like, what hasn't she done? Okay, I mean, she's interviewed on her awesome podcast, Better Call Daddy, some big names. Also, she has worked with like the Jerry Springer Show and let me see, Court TV, Nanny 911. You know, she's worked in radio. She's planned mega events. She's got some serious God-given talents for connecting people. And luckily, I've had the blessings of her connecting me with people and me connecting her with people. She's fantastic lady who is a questioner and a story junkie. So I know all you squad out there, you love stories, you hate analytics. So sit back and relax and get ready for an awesome ride here. And Reena, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Ooh, favorite color is purple. And yeah, I think I associate it with royalty. It's also
regal, baby. You're
yes,
regal.
Yes, exactly. My favorite grandma
love
loves purple. My daughter loves purple. It's in the blood.
Yeah, purple's my jam. It's a mix of blue and red, and you are that. I'm sure that, you know, blue is chill, lots of luck, but there's a red side to both of us, and we have to be. We can grind, especially if you worked in that entertainment business. Definitely had some red in there at times, I bet. So let's get to the roots of Reena. Like, let's go back and talk about the experiences that you have experienced, and which I love that it seems like you don't live a life of excuses. You know, excuses are just a cop out for not wanting to experience things. And it seems like you've experienced a lot. So let's kind of get to the roots of Reena, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, I've always been a risk taker. I was just talking about this with another podcaster before I did a recording last night. And I was like, this came up with, I worked on the Judge Alex show right after I had 3 kids in 4 years. I wanted to inch my way back into the entertainment industry. So I had actually interviewed at the Judge Alex show 5 years prior to working with him. I had been a post-production supervisor in LA, and through the Producers Guild of America, I saw an internal job posting and applied for it. They flew me from LA to Texas. They put me up in a suite. You know, I went out to dinner with some people I knew in town. I checked out apartments. I was like, oh man, you know, going from LA to Houston, I was like, I can totally live it up here. I want to do this. Then they gave me a tape of one of the raw recorded court TV shows. And they were like, oh, just string it out and let us know how you would edit it. Now, the prior post-production role I had was more of like making sure the deliverables were where they needed to be. It wasn't actually doing any of the editing.
Right.
So when they're like, oh, here's the raw footage, cut it together, I was like, oh my God, I'm done. I was like, I fail. But I literally stayed up the whole night, and you know how to start and stop a remote and put together some time code. I had seen the editors do it a bunch of times, but it was a mess. And so I didn't get it. But then 5 years later, me and my husband moved from California to Kentucky, and my kids were in preschool, and I'm on Craigslist looking in the TV and film section, and it says court researcher / stringer for Judge Alex. I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's like one of those things where you're like, that's weird. Right. You know, so I applied, they called me the same day, and it was amazing because while my kids were in preschool, I was able to go to all of these courthouses in Kentucky and Indiana, and there's a bunch of them, and Kentucky and Indiana are so close together. I went to 6 courthouses, and I got that story junkie thing in me fulfilled, where I'm going through hundreds of cases to find the good stories. Right. And it reignited my connection with LA. Wow. So
in Kentucky.
Nice.
Nothing against Kentucky, but you don't think LA, Kentucky, right? You know, it's like
exactly.
Sometimes LA, Nashville, but not Kentucky, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. But the thing is, and this also correlates to Springer, is that the reason I was good at Jerry Springer is because I grew up in Kentucky. I could relate to the guests. I knew what made a good story.
Sure.
And I knew it in court TV. I knew it in casting. I knew it in interviewing. And it all built on itself, which led me to even what I'm doing today is, creating my own show and helping other people create their own show.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. So do they come to you with an idea?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they're like, I have an idea, or, my whole business is around narcissism. I'd like to do a podcast on that. And I'm like, okay, well, check out the other people that are talking about that and start, getting on their shows first, get some practice and see what topics they've had success with, see where the holes are.
Thank you. Do research.
Oh,
a lot of people want to come in and be like, I want to be, and then they don't do the research. And no offense to people, like they'll come in different platforms like Podmatch and stuff like that. And they like, hey, I'm great for your show. And I always send back a quick cut and paste, to be honest with you, like which one of our episodes resonated with you? And they haven't freaking listened to one, right? And it's like, but they want, and I love that you just said, do the research, get on people's show, see if you can be a guest or listen to their show and do that. So is that kind of one of your gigs, if you will, where you're taking people's ideas and helping them level up to a point?
Exactly. Okay. Let's flesh that out. Like, do you want to be an informational show? Do you want to be an entertaining show? Is there even a market for this? Like, what is your goal in putting it together? Like, if you think that you're going to support yourself off of creating a podcast, let's get real.
Right. It's not, I mean, I've been blessed with my show, but it came through grind, the grit, and understanding the grit's a monotonous activity. I mean, I edited the first 100 shows myself. Luckily now I had an intern that's on board that does it for me, but man, it's like people don't want to get out there and flex that hustle muscle and stuff. It's like, I love that. So when you're starting to work with somebody that has an idea and they come to Reena and they know that you can help them level up, is there any secret sauce, if you don't mind sharing, that maybe you help them find their blind spot, that sticking point?
So one thing that I do when people want to start their own show is I really suggest going on other people's shows that are like in the top 10%, maybe, the people that are still willing to give you a shot. And the thing is, like you, I've done over 200 episodes now, so I have a lot of relationships. So, I had like a startup founder connect with me and he said, look, I'm looking to get my business more seen. And, I've got a big following on LinkedIn, but I need some more exposure. Right. So I was like, well, I think it'd be really good for you to get on other entrepreneur podcasts or technology podcasts or coding podcasts, things in your niche, but also consider things that aren't in your niche, because it just takes one person listening who you wouldn't normally connect with to have a new conversation. It's kind of like showing up to a real estate event. If you're in the finance industry, like go to something completely that you would never do. Right. That's when you're going to meet somebody new. Right.
Absolutely. And something that can spark an idea sometimes, because you're walking in there deer in the headlights, right? You're like, shit, I don't know anybody or what they do. But then you say, man, you have an idea that just sparks. I love that you say that. So when you're maybe starting, we'll stay kind of in the discovery process when you're working with the people that have that idea. Is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
That's a great question. So yes, I would say something that I have learned from people that are looking to get on other podcasts is that the reason they're willing to pay someone to help them do that is because they're not good at doing that.
Sure. Okay.
And so I've even considered offering alongside helping you get on podcasts to coach you through the steps of what that entails. Okay. So that goes along with the research. Like if you're going to be on somebody's podcast, you need to at least listen to one of them. If you're going to be on, if you're going to be on somebody's podcast, you need to have your headshot and bio ready. If you're going to be on somebody's podcast, you need to have a mic and lighting. If you're going to be on somebody's podcast and you want to look good, it's again, back to the networking thing. You're not going on there to sell yourself. You're going on there to relationship build. You are going on there to make a friend, right? You're not walking around with a business card and talking all about what you're doing in your damn business all day long. Okay.
Right.
You're there to share experiences.
Yes. I love that. It just be more interested in other people than you are in yourself, and a lot of people, especially even the people that I coach, they high level earners and stuff like that. And sometimes there can be that me mentality. I'm like, bro, step out and be interested in other people, other things, and expand, because you never know, like what you said, going outside of your niche, right? Like you never know what's waiting for you there if you expand. I love that. So what do you feel that your strengths are, Reena, and how much do you appreciate them?
Oh, that's sweet. I have found, because I took like these, strengths test things, that my strength is winning people over. And so I try to help people learn how I do that. Like, I've even given people LinkedIn tutorials, like a one-on-one. I don't do it so much anymore because, I'm not doing one-on-ones as much. Like I even think maybe I should do that in a group setting. I've done it a little bit in a group setting, but how I operate online. Like if I'm getting ready to interview, and here's an example, Stephen Covey, right?
Right.
Go search all the other people who have interviewed him. Go search the people that have written this guy
Thank you.
recommendations. Yes. Connect with all of those people and say, oh, you know what? I'm a fan of him and I'm a fan of Scott Miller. They've both been on my show. I see that you've interviewed him. Is there anything that you wish you would have asked him? I'll shout you out during my episode. Is there anything that like afterwards are like, darn, I should have asked? Or is there anything that would have been a curveball? If you're going to interview someone, know who their people are, because then they're going to be interested in your episode. And if you're going to interview on someone's show, know who their people are and start getting in that circle. Yeah. Because if you want the episode engaged and you want to be a part of that person's community, you need to know who they love.
Yes, do the research, man, and do it in a fun way. Some people look at research and go, oh my gosh, they think scientists and boring. It's like, dude, you imagine the people that you can just get to know and be able to help. And then in turn, people are reciprocal, right? I mean, they want to reciprocate back to you. And if you show that, especially if someone's at, like you said, at that level that you're trying to get to, treat them with the respect, one, that they deserve, whether you like them or not, treat them with the respect. I mean, I respect the hell out of like John Lee Dumas and Pat Flynn and stuff like that. And I built relationships with them just by showing the respect, which included investing in their Podcaster's Paradise or something like that helped me level up. I love that you said that. So, Reena, what do you think your biggest limitation is?
Oh, I know it. It's time management.
Okay. What are you doing to level up that?
Oh my gosh. I have a big time struggle with giving myself enough time to do things in a calm, relaxed, easygoing way, because I want to say yes to everything. But let me tell you, saying yes and being available and pushing myself has enabled so many opportunities. So I have a hard time striking the balance. But look, I would have never gotten the opportunity at Springer if I wasn't willing at that time to work 80 to 100 hours a week. I took a job there right out of college. I was an intern. I was so hungry. I literally slept on somebody's couch for 2 months until I went from intern to associate producer. Then as an associate producer, I was grinding. I mean, sometimes 14 days straight with no break. My days were running together. And that is what it took to become a producer after one season. Right. And then, with Nanny 911, I applied to that guy for an entire year through the Producers Guild. And then when I got the interview, he said, can you start tonight at 7 and work till 7 a.m? So much of it is, luck and timing and hustle. I mean, it is. It really is.
But you set yourself up for the opportunities, though, the grind, with the grit and the passion shines through, right? I mean, it's like you're doing what you love in the service of people that love what you do, right? I mean, that's what 100%. You did.
Even yesterday, interviewing Judge Alex, who I worked for, 2005 to like 2007 or something, that was such a long play. I contacted him a year ago, telling him some of the guests that I was starting to have on my podcast. I was like, hey, it'd be so fun to reconnect with you. You've made an impact on my life. And he never was on LinkedIn, and he's got hundreds of thousand followers everywhere else. So I just didn't think he would respond on those other channels, but I should have tried the other channels. Anyway, he writes me back and, he was like, let me know when works for you. So when you get somebody like that, who's very hard to reach, boom, you better respond immediately. And then he was like, hey, what time works well for you? I told him 11. Then he was like, how about 2? Then he was like, how about 1? How about 1:30? I gave him my number. If anything changes, call me, calls me anonymously. If you don't get the anonymous call, then you don't get them,
Right.
And he's like, are you available then? Are you available then? Are you available then? Yes, yes, and yes. If you want hard to reach people, you have to move things around. You have to make it work.
So I was with me and Tony Robbins, man. It was it. His right-hand person is Jane Jewell, and I went to high school, literally used to sit next to her in class. And, I leveraged that, but she's like, Ferg, you better be flexible. Bottom line, man, and get it going. So, okay. So have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Reena. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on her to maybe not so much change things, Reena, but maybe help her level up, last through, shorten the learning curve just a little bit?
So even at 22, that was while I was at Jerry Springer. I was a workaholic. I had zero balance, and I was super self-absorbed.
Mm-hmm. I feel
you. I wanted to live in a big city. I wanted to be successful. I was willing to outwork the people around me. If I could give her advice, I would say, try to build those around you because they can help you. Don't see them as competition. Don't see them not so much as assets.
Sure.
When I became a producer at 21 years old, I mean, this is crazy. I went from 0 to 80K in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I essentially said, knock on my door when you have a story. Otherwise, I'm going to book the stories, brief the stories, write the script, and produce the show alone.
Wow. Okay.
And you can only do that for so long. And, I didn't even know the term burnout at the time, but I definitely experienced that, obviously, right?
Right. Absolutely. That balance, like with my coaching clients, I don't believe in balance. I believe in harmony because balance is 0. Like harmony, I attested to like a jazz band. Like your guitar is your personal, the drums is your relationships, the horns are your money. But if one of those freaking things is out of tune, it could throw off everything. So that's what I'm seeing is that with you is that you stood on shoulders of giants to get where you're going, but maybe you kind of shrugged some people off on the way up, maybe slow down and help other people build up. Correct? Am I hearing that kind of right?
Oh, 100%. And, after now interviewing some very successful people,
mm-hmm.
they are so calm.
Yeah.
They are so humble.
Yeah.
They are so relaxed.
Right.
And I think it's kind of like martial arts, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have that muscle memory.
Yep.
And you know how to do it where it's in flow.
Right.
It's not forced.
Right. Yeah. Love that. Love it.
Smooth when you flip somebody over.
Yes. Yeah.
And I want to get to the point of being relaxed and calm and still able to shine at my highest level.
I love it. And you are. So, Reena, how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and your death date. Hopefully it's a long ways down. That little line, how do you want Reena's dash remembered?
I talk a lot about legacy on my show.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, after interviewing over 200 people, it is really about shifting from yourself to others.
Wow.
That is when I think growth begins. Truthfully. And Gary Vee says it too, like kindness always wins in the end.
It does.
And even with, I'm getting ready to sell my house. We were talking about this right before. And, I just told my block that we were potentially going to move. And then I had 10 people blow up my phone. And one girl said to me, what can I do to get you not to show your house to the other people? And I gave her a number and she said, I'll pay that in cash. I am honoring that.
Right.
Because I know if you honor that and not show your house to other people, you know what? Maybe it will fall through with the inspection.
Sure.
But I'm keeping my word. And then on the other end, or maybe somewhere down the road, that always comes back.
Does. Always. I mean, I'm not so much a karma guy, but it is true. It's flow. Like you mentioned before, it's flow and things will come back because one, you're open to reciprocation too, because a lot of people will give and not reciprocate or be open to the reciprocation. I love that you are. So then what do you think people misunderstand the most about Reena?
I've actually had a couple people tell me that they were like intimidated by me because I
Okay.
can be intense. So
Sure.
I would say that maybe that's how I'm most misunderstood, is that like, even though I can be intense,
Right.
it's really from like a passion level. It's not
Okay.
from like a don't come talk to me level. Like I
Sure.
am approachable.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I
You
feel
are.
like,
You're fun. And like sometimes I have my hat on too, where you're just like, let's go. There's no time for any shenanigans. But yeah, that's I have people, especially down here where I live in South Florida and Palm Beach, like there's shells that you have to break through with a lot of people because they have their guard up, because a lot of people here have ankles. They're trying to work. It's a sunny place for shady people, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I break through it by just asking questions, high level, questions to them. And I love that. And I know that you had to also working in the entertainment business. It's like what you ask better make sense. And I love that. So
yeah, Judge Alex was really saying that too. Like when he moved from Houston to LA for his show, everyone's a producer, everyone wants to help you, but they also want to put that knife right in your back.
In a heartbeat.
So in the entertainment industry and in business in general, you better have your contracts in place. You better be able to self-edit. Right. And you better be ready for the grind.
Right. And like you said, shift. I love that you use the word shift, because a lot of people now use pivot, and I just believe more in shift. Maybe we could call it shivot. That'd be kind of cool, right? And then we do that. So it's just kind of funny with you, being Jewish. And I said that to other
Shivot. Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds Jewish.
And they just laugh their ass off. I love it. So what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Oh, that's so good. I really love what I do. Like
you do.
I want to perfect my craft. But as much as that makes you successful, it can also help you. It can also make you lose sleep, because I QA things
right
obsessively.
Right.
And I have learned to let some of it go. Like I have an editor, like you said, you have an intern that helps you with editing.
Sure.
I had to give that piece away because I can edit something to death. And a lot of things that I will pick up on, other people won't.
Right. Love it. And it comes to the moniker, like sometimes it's like, I saw a movie in 2000 with Ryan Reynolds, Van Wilder, where he's like, don't take life too seriously, you'll never make it out alive. I mean, that's like, I started living by that because a lot of people, so many people will, especially in I don't stay up at night worrying anymore. I've gotten past that, but I ask myself, say, I don't do affirmations, and neither do my clients that I coach, because affirmations, you have a seed of doubt. Oh, I make money, I live in this. You have a seed of doubt. So I ask high level questions of myself, like, how is it that I'm, 240 pounds, built well, and look great? How is it that I have this money or whatever? And because our brains are programmed to solve problems. So the thing is, though, is I'll have my high level questions that I'm asking myself, and it'll keep me up because I'm consciously doing it. When you're really my own coach is like, Fergie, ask yourself the questions, go to sleep and let the subconscious figure it out, or go take a shower or hop in the ocean and stuff. So that's what kind of keeps me up at night. And I'm seeing that from you, because I don't really hear any worry in your voice. All I hear is drive and go and leveling up and helping others. So I love it. You and I are like sisters from different mistas. I'm telling you, brother and sister, I mean, like you are, and it's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
But go ahead, I cut you off.
No, I was going to say those questions too. I feel like if I have those questions, other people have those questions. And sometimes I'll just throw a question on Twitter, or sometimes I will schedule it in my Facebook group, and I'll be like, let's see what other people think of the questions that I have going on in my mind. And it's just a community builder thing. I started a Facebook group like a year ago or something, because I was actually working for an influencer and her whole following was on Facebook. I was like, oh, I could start a Facebook group too for like everybody who's been on my podcast, or any questions I have floating in my mind. And it's just I have like 690 people in there, and it's literally everyone I know. And it's like, if you have a friend from Twitter, hey, come join my Facebook group. If you have a friend from LinkedIn, or hey, if you have somebody on your podcast, oh, come join.
How am I not in that group, Reena?
I'm going to send you a link. Yeah.
You better. You better.
So yeah, I
love
bounce
it.
questions there all the time. And it's also a really good way to gauge what would be good to cover on your podcast. Because if I get 50 responses to one of my questions that was floating in my mind, I was like, oh, well, maybe I should find a guest around that topic.
Right. I do that. Like, I'm starting to do these solo podcasts again, right? Because my first 30 were just me monologuing, getting used to the mic and whatnot. And then people are like, Fergie, what happened to the monologues? You know, so I'm starting to build the book of those again. So I'll put, like, I have been blessed to have built an email list that I'm very intimate with, like over 150,000 subscribers. And I put a question out there that, like, what would you guys like to hear? And I got like 480 emails of like this and this. I was like, wow, how engaged is that? It makes you feel good that, like, frick, man, you're making a difference on the stuff. And that's fantastic. So let's take out of the equation anything electronic, any of your iPad or anything like that. And also any of, like, the air, gravity, food. What are 3 things that Reena can't live without?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I wish I wouldn't say it, but I you saw me guzzling my coffee right before.
I'm right there with you, love.
I love it. And I am trying to cut it off past like 3 or 4 p.m. But also
that's probably a good idea.
Or my questions won't stop at night, right?
Right. Love it.
I need relationships. I really
Connection.
do.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why we're here. You know, why did we experience these things if it's not to share and help others?
Sure. Right.
I need relationships. I need my dad. I talk to him every single day. He's definitely on that list.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into running over the pandemic. I splurged and bought myself a really nice treadmill. And
yay!
Yeah.
Good for you.
I need that.
Mm-hmm.
Every run I do, I say, this is for my mental health.
Love it. Have you
and that
ever
helps
thought
you run?
Have you ever thought about rebounding?
What is that?
Trampoline.
No.
Like this is funny. Like it's how when I speak, I have a trampoline on stage. That's how I start the first 2 minutes, and I'm giving them an education. Whether I'm speaking about overlapping happiness or not taking life seriously, I always start the first 2 minutes, because a rebounder, like when your heart's beating and it's purifying your blood, so your blood's good, but your lymph system, where leukemia and cancer and everything starts breeding, there's no way to flush it out. So, like, while I'm rebounding, I'm telling them, on stage, tell them, like, listen, man, when I'm off of this rebounder, I'm at 0 gravity. When I hit it, I'm at 4 times the gravity, and it springs it up and it cleans out your lymph system. And I've been doing it now for 7 years, and I've never felt better. I'm 50 years old. I keep up with the 35-year-old guys at the gym or on the jiu-jitsu mats or wrestling mats. I'm keeping up with them. But the best part of it, Reena, is that while I'm rebounding, everyone's going like this. So they're starting to affirm everything I'm talking about. Because usually there's a TV behind me with a screen, and so they're going like this while they're watching me. But it's a joke, but it's like the rebounders. Like I talk about it in almost every podcast. I'm like, get a rebounder. It will change your life. It's 3 minutes a day. You know what I'm saying?
Tony Robbins does that too. Is that where you got it?
I got it from him. Are you kidding
me?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like I got it. I'm like, wait a minute. It actually makes sense because it flushes out the lymph, and the lymph's flushed out, you lose weight. The lymph's flushed out, you feel great. The lymph's flushed out, you can start your day like serving people. Like the first 90 minutes of my day are me, nobody else. Like, I understand that it's harder as a mom, but like for me, it's 90 minutes. It's mine. From journaling.
Okay, they need to sponsor this show.
Yeah. I love it. So what is Reena's definition of a life well lived?
Ooh. I'm going to go back, because you were just talking about the affirming and the, like, getting what you need from the audience, kind of with them being right there with you.
Right.
A life well lived is really encouraging others and doing that affirmation for others. I went to a youth performing arts school, and I didn't get in on the first audition. And I really wanted to go there. Like, music was in my soul, but I didn't read all the fine print, and I didn't know you had to sing in a foreign language and that you had to be able to read.
You didn't know any of that important shit?
Yeah, I just walked in there, sang something off the radio, and thought I was in, right? Like, a lot of people think that Raw talent's going to get them, Oprah. Right?
Love it.
So my dad went to the head of the music department and said, I will get her music lessons. She'll learn how to read music. She'll come back here and sing an Italian aria. Give her another go. And that summer, I really worked hard and did that. But even though I got in and I was in that program for 4 years, I never felt like I was accepted because of that first rejection.
Sure.
Now, that changed my senior year when Nicole Scherzinger, who's now, she was in the Pussycat Dolls and she's been on all these reality shows. I think she's worth like 300 million. She sat in the front row when I was auditioning for all of the colleges. And she said, look at me. You've earned this, look at me. You've earned this. I'm going to sit in the front row. You've got this. I've heard you sing. Today's your day to sing out, right? And I did it. I focused on her. She bobbed her head. She affirmed me.
Love it.
God, if you can do that for others, if you can do that for one or two freaking people, I got a full ride to 2 colleges.
Dude.
That is a life well lived, and very few people do that for others.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, I make 2 New Year's resolutions every year. Okay. And it's been since 2009, which is part of my homeless story. When I lost everything in real estate and basically squatted in a house I had listed from people that moved to Florida when I lived in Michigan. But I make 2 New Year's resolutions. One is to make someone smile every day, no matter what. There I win. See? So make someone smile every single day, and that gives them the affirmation, right? And 2 is that unless I've hurt you, disrespected you in any way, insulted you, I give 0 Fs about what you think about me, period. Because I live treating people the right way, make someone smile. And I love that you said affirm people, let them know their strengths and how freaking awesome that they are. That is fantastic. And squad, we're going to take my awesome sauce friend Reena here through our leveling up lightning round just as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors and affiliates. Hey, time to shine today, podcast varsity squad. We're back, and I got Reena Friedman Watts. And Reena, you and I literally and probably one day will talk an hour on each one of these questions. But you got 5 seconds to answer it with no explanations, and they all can be done that way. You ready to level up?
Let's level up.
Let's do it. Reena, what's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Don't quit. Go after it.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Not holding anything back.
Love it. Outside of Better Call Daddy podcast, which we'll get to in a little bit, outside Better Call Daddy, and also Time to Shine Today podcast, my shameless plug. What podcast do you go to level up?
The Binge Factor.
Love it. You see me walking down the street, you're like, man, Fergie looks like he's off. He's in his doldrums a little bit. What book might you hand me to level me up?
Trust and Inspire by
Love it.
Stephen Covey.
Yes. Your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Party.
All right. Nicknames growing up?
Reena Freak Out America.
Love it. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Chess.
Really? Smarty pants. Awesome. Love it. Your go-to flavor for ice cream?
Cookie dough.
Love it. So there's a sandwich named the Friedman Watts. What's on that sandwich?
Ooh. The first thing that comes to mind is like a turkey sub. I used to love them.
No, I feel you. I love it. Beautiful.
All the works.
So you got access to a time machine. You can go for one day, 20 years to the future or 20 years to the past. Where are you going?
I honestly have always wanted to produce one more Jerry Springer show. Okay. So I'd probably go back.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Favorite charity and organization you like to give your time or money to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say we probably give the most to our synagogue.
That's perfect. Awesome. Good for you. Last question. You can elaborate on this one a little bit, but what's the best decade in music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
80s.
Yeah, big hair, don't care. I love it, love it, love it. And dude, there's so much happening. I graduated in 1990. So it was like I had the 80s. Like 10 years was the decade of indulgence and decadence. It's like everything came in. Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Motley Crue, The Cure. I mean, like we got invaded from all these different countries with Men at Work or Duran Duran. It was just the best time. Love it. Thank you for agreeing with me on that one. So let's talk about Better Call Daddy a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, my daddy is always who I call. He has been my biggest cheerleader, even starting with getting me into that youth performing arts school. I mean, my God, that takes so much nerve.
Sure.
I have gotten a lot of my nerve from my dad. You know, it's funny, growing up, I didn't appreciate how comfortable he is in his own skin. But
Right.
now I realize that is such a rarity and a beautiful thing, and something that I wanted to share with the world. I was like, my dad has got wisdom. You know, he ran a company with his parents for 40 plus years. He's got entrepreneurship in his blood. He's managed hundreds of people.
Sure.
He's been sued. He's hired people out of jail. He moved from New York to Kentucky. He's basically like the, you know, Jewish Tony Soprano. I'm like, I can make a show out of that.
Yeah,
and
man.
So I wanted to use my creativity and work on my craft of interviewing people, connecting with people, community building. And then for the final thought, the Jerry Springer at the end, it's my daddy.
I love it. I love it. And so is he, where does he live now?
So he has a place in Florida, and
That's right. You said that. Okay.
His regular residence is in Kentucky still.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And so you still go back to him as a confidant when you maybe are stuck on something?
I talk to my dad. I think it might drive my husband up the wall, but pretty much every day.
That's
Even
awesome.
sometimes my husband's like, okay, that is too much excitement. Call your dad.
Right. No, I love it. I love that. And so what makes him stand out? Like, what is, I mean, you've explained your affection to him. I love to hear that in your voice and see it in your face. But like, what makes him like stand out other than being your dad and your maker, your creator, if you will? But what is it about him?
Yeah, he is the best encourager.
Okay.
Which is something affirmer the whole world needs. I hope that I can carry that on. And he's a believer. And yeah, his faith is strong. He's super loyal to his parents. And he flies to take care of his mom every 2 weeks. Wow. He, you know, took care of his 3 sisters, his 3 daughters. He's just such a loyal guy. And I feel like in today's world, that doesn't always exist. He's a good example. He does the right thing, and he's integral.
I got to meet this guy, man. When you come down here, we'll go down and we'll do a show, or we'll go into the radio station and do a fun one where I can interview both of you guys. That'd be fantastic. So
that would be fun.
Yeah. So were you just featured in a magazine article?
Yes, actually, there was a girl here from Chicago. She just moved to Florida. I should introduce you. It's called Atari Magazine, and she did a magazine around body positivity and women entrepreneurs and confidence. And awesome. Even I brought my daughter to the shoot. So that was really cool, because even though she didn't make it into the magazine, we got a bunch of really cool pictures together.
That's awesome.
I'll have to send you one. Oh,
yeah, I want to see it. Yeah, if you have if there's a link to it as well, I'd love to throw it in our show notes.
Yeah.
And how about little Miss Celia's book, Scarlet, the singer who couldn't hear music? Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's plug your daughter's book. How old's your daughter?
She is 11.
11 years old, squad. You hear that? That's fantastic. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I love this little girl. She's so creative. And through the pandemic, my biggest concern is because I had, an 8 and 10-year-old at the time.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man, I want to get them like a reading and writing tutor just to make sure that they like stay on top of that for the pandemic. Absolutely. Because, I had 4 kids to manage during a pandemic, which, you're not always 100% on top of. Right. So I hired a reading and writing tutor who, with the pandemic, wanted to help children become more confident in reading and writing. She found solace in books as a child and was bullied, and wanted to help others come out of their shell through becoming better readers and writers. And I wanted to support another woman entrepreneur. So I paid for a reading and writing tutor for a year. And she's also an author. And she was like, Celia, you should write a book. Because my daughter really took to it. She was writing all of these super creative stories. So she collaborated with her reading and writing tutor and came up with this book. And it's funny because she told this story about a dolphin who loved music, but was deaf. And I was like, wow, it was really her kind of expressing to the world that, maybe she needed to come out of her shell more. Sure.
I love it. I love it. And she had, the dolphin had a friend that helped. And I was telling you off camera about my best friend from whom Tim Nardini. He was that guy that believed in me in middle school and high school. That's sad. My dad's my best friend, but he was never the affirmer ever. So he was like that hard-nosed, blue-collar guy, and I love him. And we talk like your dad, we talk twice a week, so it's like we talk. So I love that she wrote this book. It's awesome. Miss Dory also. Okay, very cool. So do me a favor, Reena, and leave us with one last knowledge nugget you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action.
Yeah, I had a quote growing up that I really liked. It said, "I was once beautiful, but now I am myself." And my daughter was like, no. She was like, it needs to be, "I was once beautiful and I still am." And I was like, dang.
I love that.
My advice would be, do not throw out the older generation's wisdom, and also find wisdom in the generation under you.
Yes.
Let's be a bridge.
Yes.
There's so much knowledge out there, and you can learn something from everyone around you.
I love that you said that. I love it, because I coach on the plus equal minus. I try to do it daily, where you find someone that's did it and pick their brain, the people that's equal to you and share ideas, and the people that are like not under you, but that are on their way up, share with them. And I love that you say that. So in squad, we went a little longer, and I don't care, because this conversation was absolutely just fantastic. And, Reena is, she's a risk taker. She's born and bred with that. Probably a little bit was embedded through her father. She is all about wanting you to shine. And if you're trying to make it in the world, she suggests reaching out, no matter what field it is, to the top 10%. Of what's in your niche, but don't limit it to your niche. Like, you can find ideas in other niches. She's somebody that is a big believer in relationship building and sharing experiences. Don't hold it to yourself. Pay it forward. She loves to win people over and share her own experiences, and she's willing to affirm you and have you level up. And if you pass her, I think she'd probably applaud you. Competitive nature, we don't want to, but she's a person that would. She's actually planting trees now that she's never going to sit in the shade of. And that's the kind of people I love to surround myself with. She wants you to live in more of a state of flow. And if you get stuck, like my good friend Leah Woodford says, get your asking gear, ask questions. There's people there that want to help you level up, and she's going to tell us, that her daughter said, you're once beautiful and you still are. Remember that. No matter how much time goes by, embrace yourself. Help people that need it. Bounce ideas off people that are equal to you. And then if you are stuck, get your asking gear and ask people that are a little bit higher than you. And trust me, you'll stand on the shoulders of giants and eventually be that giant that people are standing on the shoulders of you. I'm a big believer that mentoring makes you immortal. The more you mentor, the more immortal you become, because people will remember you. The more you pass on. And that's what Reena does. She levels up her health. She levels up her wealth. She's humble, yet she's hungry. She earned her varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, Reena. I love your guts. Can't wait to collaborate with you.
That was such an awesome summary. That is what I want to get better at.
I love it.
Wow, on the fly.
I have pages and pages of notes. I got to. So, but I love you so much, and we will talk to you very soon, okay?
That was so good.
Awesome.
You're a genius. Thank you.
Soon. Bye.